Real Rap TV.
Okay, we got an exclusive, never told story from Red, who was actually doing security for Tupac in 1993 in Oklahoma City at the Marriott Convention Arena. First, I want to thank you for your time. We're going to get the community a good one. I want you to tell the viewers how was you able to do security for Pac and give us the rundown as far as what security agency you was with and how was you able to join forces with that organization and be a part of history on the stage with Tupac in 1993.
Well, it was pretty simple. I knew Mark Anthony, which was he had a small security and investigative company. I didn't actually work for Mark, but we worked together at a hood club on the northeast side of Oklahoma City, 36th and Kelly, the old ACI building, the entertainment complex. And so when events would come, I had already met in Tennessee in the southeast DJ Quick, Chill Dill Boys, many others, Keisha Jackson, which I believe is Millie Jackson's daughter, and stuff. So I already had a reputation for it. I never did it really for the money. He asked me if I wanted to come and be basically the lead guy on stage. And we had Mark Anthony that owned the company and one other guy on the left. And I was right up at the front, more towards the right side of the stage. And that's how I was able to work. I actually took off from Visions in Del City, which was a small nightclub that was, well, it wasn't small, it held 800 people, in order to come to the Tupac concert. A, because I knew Tupac was going to be big, and B, I was already a fan of Digital Underground, the Shock G, the Humpty Hump, and Money B. So I wanted to meet him. I really didn't know that much about Tupac in 1993, but I knew he was going to be big. So that's what put me on the stage with Tupac at the Marriott Convention Center in 1993, Oklahoma City.
So you said you was in tune with Digital Underground, so you really didn't know Pac because you was into Digital Underground, correct?
Yeah, correct. Initially, I was actually more interested, at least at first, in Digital Underground. And I didn't get to spend a lot of time with them, which when we tell the story, you'll understand why. But we had a rapport. Um, and yeah, I was a fan of the Humpty Hump and, all around the world, same song. And, they were big back in the early 90s before Pac.
Okay, so I gotta ask you, since we talking about the same song, who you think had the best verse on that track? Same song.
Now that's tough because I'm telling you, Tupac when he came in and he's being carried like an Egyptian on one of those flotillas or whatever that they carry the royalty in, he tore it up. But Money B also tore it up, and Shock G come in with multiple personalities from the Humpty Hump to his cool personality with sunglasses and everything. I mean, he was such a showman, the Humpty Hump. I can't really say. I think that when Tupac came in on that was when I first experienced Tupac before I ever met him was the same song. When he came getting carried in like an Egyptian royalty, like a pharaoh or something, that was indicative of being in high success. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Like his whole delivery flow from the beginning to the end. So when you actually did security and seen him in person, how was his energy?
Well, I guess I got to tell you what happened in order to do that. I got there a little late because like I said, I had to take off working from this little club, and I got over there. I got there before the concert actually started, but we usually get there like an hour early to get our stuff together. But since I was up on the stage and was new with my job, I got there right about 15 minutes early, and um, he opened up with the set, and he didn't like the sound system apparently, and he dropped the mic, and we all rushed off the stage. Me, Mark Anthony, the other security guy, all the Tupac's entourage that was there, Shock G and Money B from Humpty Hump, Digital Underground. We all went back into the dressing room, and then, well, he finally, they did something to the sound system or whatever, so he finally wanted to come out and play. So we marched out of the dressing room about 15 minutes later, and the College Boys was up on the stage doing their set, and that was a rap band from Atlanta, the College Boys, and I believe they were from Atlanta. Well, Pac came up, and we were just shadowing Pac. I mean, we weren't getting involved in anything. He had the his own guys with him too that would also help watch his back. He went up and snatched the mic away from the lead singer of the College Boys, and I've never seen anything like that. The two bands almost got into it. We were in a dilemma, Mark and us, because we were actually there to protect all of the bands on the stage. It wasn't just Pac. He was up and coming. He was doing the Humpty. He was doing the "I Get Around" song, promoting for "I Get Around" with Digital Underground. So, well, it started playing from there and was pretty peaceful for a bit. He's playing his set, "I Get Around," and it was the Thug Life version of it, "I Get Around," where they're singing in the background, "Ain't no party like a Thug Life party," because the Thug Life party don't stop. In the same that's on the Arsenio Hall now, you can look at it. It's the closest I've seen to the actual concert. Well, somebody threw what we were told was a sucker. I heard it hit and bounce off and hit Tupac in the lower leg, like the calf. And he pulled out a wad of $100 bills and said, "Hey, knock out the person." And about two or three people got punched out under the stage just right after he pulled out the money. One young cat raised his hand and said, "I did it." And he was expecting some money. Pac put the money back in his pocket and laughed. He kept performing. And yeah, that's not the worst thing that happened.
So he never gave none of the audience the money he was gonna pay
No,
them.
no. He laughed and put it back in his pocket. At the stage. That's why that girl who was at the concert that you had interviewed, yeah, Shawnee was saying it was such a hectic environment, because it was. Everything went good. He kept performing. And after he was performing, I don't even know some of the other songs he was doing, because the only one I know from that era is either Digital Underground straight up songs like All Around the World, Same Song, and all that. And I didn't know some of the other songs he was performing other than "I Get Around," but he was doing his set, and some kids from, we were told, and we usually have pretty good intel, pretty good information from being up on the stage. And I didn't make a lot of money. I was asked at the last minute to go, and it was fun. But we usually get pretty good information or intel on what's going on at being up on the stage and escort work. That we were told that he, well, somebody that had said some words, and they were yelling back and forth from the audience, was apparently from Star Spencer High School. And Star Spencer High School, even at that time, back in the early 90s, was pretty well gang infested. You know, they had a lot of young cats wearing bandanas and stuff, which I'm not going to even get into the colors, because it's, to me, that's not even the point. But they said the wrong thing, and Tupac responded back, and he said, "Well, I'd like to see you come from my old neighborhood," something like that. You get something, basically. So when that happened, literally 30 or 40 people rushed the stage. It was really hectic for the few minutes till we got it stabilized. They had barriers by the stage that were wooden, that kind of remind you of something you'd see at a castle or whatever, like wooden barriers that were like kind of X-shaped, that are supposed to slow down the people rushing the stage. And they worked, because they only got on one at a time. So we just kind of grabbed them and threw them down the edge of the stage where there was no barriers, so they wouldn't get hurt as bad, and kept going. I personally, and so did the other guy that was up at the front of the stage with me. I think I got more of them because I was the most experienced at that time. I was almost 6'4" and 287 pounds, and I was tossing them down. I probably tossed down at least 15 or 20 myself. I would estimate about 40 of them rushed the stage, and we were told it was the cats from Star Spencer High School.
So was they trying to rush anybody that was on stage, or they was just trying to rush Tupac?
They were trying to rush Tupac. Yeah, they were trying to rush Tupac.
From what he said.
He said something to the effect the cats that were Star Spencer High School that had their bandanas on or whatever, and they were like, he said that if you come to my old neighborhood, you would get your ass kicked, basically. And that's what set them off. And they were like, no, we ain't having that. So they rushed the stage. And that's what happened. It's history. There's people that I'm sure remember that. In the interview you did with Shawnee, she got it pretty close about it being hectic, and about she said ice that hit Tupac or was thrown up on the stage that set him off with the pulling out the wad of $100 bills. That's pretty close, but from up on the stage, it looked more. We were told it was a sucker. I heard it bounce, but there was too much going on to go see what it was. I believe they also performed same song with Digital Underground, All Around the World, same song. I think they performed it also, but they opened up with when Pac came on the stage and basically took over when College Boys was there. He went straight into, as soon as he got the mic, and the sound system immediately changed, like maybe less than 30 seconds later, to I Get Around, which was one of his premier songs that he was promoting in 1993. That's before he went and got in with the guys from the West Coast. I believe that was before he got in with Suge and all them. I don't know anything. I don't think he was even. I don't think he was associated. I think he was more with Digital Underground at that time and on his own.
Okay. Take us to Tupac himself told you to change your wardrobe. He don't want you looking like the police.
Well, that was not him saying that to me. That's what Mark Anthony said. He said, "Don't wear your black shirt, security baseball cap looking with all your gadgets on and everything like we would wear, looking like, special forces or our SWAT team with high-tech boots we used to wear back in the day." And that he didn't want that look. He wanted more low-key look, and that's what he told Mark Anthony. That's what he wanted, was the low key.
Okay, so he basically wanted y'all to fit in with the posse.
Exactly. He wanted it to be like we were security, but we were like covert. We were not, openly showing that we were like hired security hands. Like not the hired dudes. He wanted it to look like we were, you know, more naturally part of the stage, because I could only postulate that's because he knew the trajectory of his career, that he was going to go, really hard, hardcore rap at that point. And I understand that. I didn't have a problem with it. I liked to dress up back then. So I wore my black shirt and silk tie and leather baseball cap. I still had my black BDU, like the military, black combat pants and high tech boots, the high ones that come up about halfway up the calves. So we were still looking tactical, but we were looking GQ at the same time.
Now that's legendary, man. You was able to do one of your major first gigs with the icon Tupac. Tell me, how was that experience?
Hey, at the time, it was a surprise to me. I didn't expect it to be, what it was. We did rap events before. The first one I ever did was DJ Quick, in Tennessee. And that's when I was with Big Alex and Jeff. And we did a lot of people. And then I expected it to be more on the lines of that, which was usually more chill. We might have a fight or two in the crowd, but it was usually more chill. But I wouldn't trade it for anything because I feel a connection to Tupac. I mean, he was doing what what he knew to do, what his heart told him to do, and he's a legend as a result. So I would not trade it for anything. The opportunity, it was really cool.
How long was that whole performance?
I couldn't even guess. It wasn't super long, and probably because of all the drama that went on, I'd say I'm not even gonna guess how many songs. I know he did the Thug Life version of "I Get Around." He did, I believe they did "All Around the World," same song. Um, I'd have to reach out, or someone would have to reach out to Money B to find out exactly what they did. But when I briefly spoke to Money B on social media about 2 years ago, he remembered some of what happened, but he they did so many concerts, he probably doesn't remember. I don't remember how many songs. I'm gonna say maybe they did 5 or 6 songs, but we had the other bands too, the College Boys and other bands that were also performing. So it wasn't a super long set, but it was a very high energy set.
So I gotta ask you, man. Speaking of Tupac, what's your favorite album of Tupac?
Oh, All Eyes on Me, All
Okay.
Eyes on Me, and Two of America's Most Wanted, and Picture Me Rolling, and all that's quintessential Tupac right there.
Yeah, straight classic.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. I mean, it was even beyond, above and beyond. If you like hard, that's above and beyond anything that happened with I Get Around. Yeah, he got truly hard in that, and could ramp up the audience to a degree I've never seen anybody. I wish I had had the opportunity to have did more work with Tupac. I've met other people, Warren G and Nate Dogg and LL Cool J in the Southeast at the Whole Note Lounge, and it's another thing where we didn't make but maybe a bonus more than we would have by working the nightclub that night. But I knew had met Ron G, which is Warren G's uncle, and I had a rapport with Ron G. I met him at a place called the Party Zone in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and that's where Warren's from. I met Ron in 1991 before Warren ever started rapping, and he liked me. He says, "When I get some big time, I'm gonna have you come," and he did. In 1995, he brought Warren G and Nate Dogg, and it went off really great. We took pictures and everything. Me and Big Alex, rest in peace, he died about 3 years ago. Alex was a brother. He was 6'7" and 370. Um, we did for him. We did LL right afterwards, about 2 months later. 2 months later, which was a real disappointment because after walking around all night, he refused to take pictures with us. And Alex got bent out of shape. I tried to be professional about it and tell Alex, man, we need to get paid, because this is how I pay my rent. This little bit of extra money from doing this escort work. So we need to get paid. So we did it, and we took care of them, and no one was harmed or anything. And yeah, I did Cedric the Entertainer at Visions in Oklahoma City, when he was doing the Def Jam comedy shows, and that was really cool. Um, we did Young Jeezy. I was up by the stage, but it was another thing with Young Jeezy at the Millennium in Chattanooga, Tennessee, that he was pretty well. It was pretty hectic. We were throwing people out left and right, so there was not a lot of time for talking. It was probably more hectic in some ways than the Tupac concert because it was more of a hood concert. It wasn't downtown like Tupac was at the Myriad Convention Center in '93 in Oklahoma City. Um, I got a picture that we took of Jeezy because I was right up next to the stage, but we were intercepted. The people that were tried to rush the stage. These two cats did jump up on the stage and tried to start rapping with Jeezy just in 2009. And well, I got one, a guy named Wendell got another one, and we proceeded to drag them out, tell them goodbye. They were happy. They were rapping all the way at the door. The two cats with braids that jumped up on the stage. They were happy. They just wanted their minute of honor to be up with young Jeezy.
And you also did Gorilla Zoe, right?
Oh yeah, that's video. I mean it, and that's another thing. I was just getting paid that night. just maybe slightly more than we would have by, working the club. But because I had the most experience with, had already did Tupac and I had already did Warren G and Nate Dogg, I was chose. And you can look at the right of the stage in Gorilla Zoe at SoCo, and you'll see me on the right of the stage. Um, it's kind of like the Secret Service. You don't see a lot of the security around or the escorts um, because we had headsets on, radios. We could talk to each other. I think we had them in our pocket that night, but we could pull them out and talk if needed, and we could ask for backup, like say. And most of the time, you don't even have to do that because the other guys are watching. But yeah, that was really cool. There was no major incidents with Gorilla Zoe. We walked them out to the tour bus and told them goodbye, and they had their entourage and some girls that went with Gorilla and his um, entourage, and we told them goodbye, and they were out of our hands at that point. We had delivered the package more or less, the item that is being protected to the safe zone, which was the tour bus, and so our job was done. Yeah, they had fun. We all had fun that night. I don't hardly ever drink, but they were all drinking Patron during the performance. They had fun. We had fun.
Now, out of all them artists that you named, which was the best experience you secured for out of all the artists?
Man, undoubtedly the biggest was Tupac and Digital Underground. I consider it bigger than any of them. Now, I will put Warren G up there with them and Nate Dogg. Nate Dogg's dead now, but I would consider Tupac because of his place in history. I didn't fully respect what I was stepping into when I did, but even 5 years later, when or it wasn't even 5 years, it was maybe what 3 years or four when All Eyes on Me came out, and he got the notoriety bigger than he was with I Get Around the Digital Underground. Uh, I would say Tupac. I mean, because he's a legend, and it was an honor. It was an honor to be up on the stage to help protect a legend like that.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want the viewers to know?
I mean, I could go into more details about all of them, including what happened in Tennessee with the LL. I can't believe someone wouldn't take pictures when everyone else did. Cedric did. Warren G and Nate Dogg did. It was really hectic when we did the Tupac concert, so I didn't get any pictures. Mark had some pictures, Mark Anthony, that owned the company. I didn't work actually for him. He brought me in as a private, guy to work, and I just, I got a little bit more than I would have that night at the club. But I knew he was going to be big. Um, and the what Ron G said, that kind of set me for the next 10 years afterwards in 2005 when we did Warren G and Nate Dogg, and then we did LL Cool J like 2 months later. What Ron had told me in 1991, he says, I like you. He said, because you're different than some of these other big guys. I was 287 then, but he said, you're different. He said, you remind me of Cat in Roadhouse. You're always nice, Dalton, until it's time not to be nice. And that's why when he came back with Warren G and Nate Dogg in 95, I was his pick. So I picked Alex Watkins, he died about, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. Alex died. And I picked Alex out of all the guys we had working. I picked him over any of the rest of the guys, Jeff, any of them, for that reason. And we had worked really wild place close to the west side and the projects too. So me and Alex had a bond where we would protect each other. And that's why I picked Alex. And I wouldn't trade what happened. I wouldn't trade what happened if I had been fortunate enough, which I never have in my life, to make big money, because of the experience of this is something that you could not quantify with dollar bills. I mean, some people don't look at it like that, but I really think it's important to try to help people and protect people, and that was my philosophy.
How impactful Tupac was to you?
Oh, definitely. He was. I drew strength on that Tupac 93 incident when I was later and had been in the presence of Jeezy or Gorilla Zoe or whatever. I was like, hey, I can do better than anybody here because I've already been at the pinnacle. I've already been at the pinnacle, which was Tupac and Digital Underground. The rest of them are all, to me, not insignificant. They're good. But in comparison to a legend like Tupac, you know, um, there was only one person, lady from the radio station, Magic, that did a Tupac thing. She did, I believe, in Atlanta, I believe. But out of this whole area where I was at, in the southeast, where we did Warren G and Nate Dogg and LL Cool J and DJ Quick earlier, Keisha Jackson. I'm the only one that actually, besides the lady from the radio station, that had actually met Tupac and been on the stage with him. And I basically thank the universe and God for that because it was an experience that money cannot buy.
So did you think Tupac lyrics matched his actions?
At first, not. No. When he first did I Get Around, and I could tell because of the entourage, and they were singing in the background, which I'd never heard that version. It's not the version that came on MTV with the big girls running around and chasing Tupac. And this was his, what I call his hard or his thug life version, because he had his voice, singing in the background or rapping. Ain't no party like a thug life party because the thug life party don't stop. And I never heard that before. And I should have known the direction it was going to go because of that night. But I was still thinking it was more Digital Underground, that was more, more less risky that night. But based on a couple of years later, about 3 years later or whatever, when All Eyes on Me came out, and Two of America's Most Wanted, and all of that on the same album. Um, what I saw in 1993 was exactly what it would have been like when he did All Eyes on Me. He was hard. I mean, he was hard, and he did not take any disrespect from nobody, and I respect that.
Yeah, I'm glad you cleared that up. This for the people in the back that always say when he signed with Death Row, Suge Knight put a barrier in his back and he just changed. And I'm glad you said that because that was in '93, and people forget he had police brutality. He shot two off-duty police, and this was way before Death Row. So I appreciate you um explaining that he been him since before, way before Suge.
Well, look what his mama was a Panther and stuff.
Facts.
Yeah, his mama was a Black Panther. So what do you expect? You
Facts.
are what you're raised, nature and nurture, in psychology. He was raised around an environment that could be hard if one was oppressed. And I could tell you stories because I've got family that's black, and I could tell stories of some things that happened back in the 80s and 90s. People can be cruel, and sometimes you got to be hard in order to survive. You know, I mean, I hate to put it into there, but Nietzsche, that does not kill you, makes you stronger. Or Darwin, in life there's a struggle for existence, and in that struggle, only the fittest survive. That's the mentality of the hardness of the street.
No, facts, man. Everything you said, I agree, 100%. Before we close out, is there anything you want to let the viewers know?
Yeah, I got ultimate respect for Tupac. I wish that I could have sat down, 10 years after that or whatever, and had some chicken tenders or something with him, and just chilled, because it was so hectic that night that none of us, um, even in the dressing room when we were took him back there after he didn't like the sound system and everything, there was a lot of problems and attitudes on all sides. I think it was unfortunate because um, I really wanted to, meet him and really talk to him more. And it was all professional what we did. What I did was professional to help make sure that that he was safe, and that Digital Underground was safe, and even College Voice was safe that he had words with on the stage. We were there to protect everybody, and Digital Underground and Money B, I shook their hand and talked to them. I would have got a picture with them, but it was pretty hectic what was going on at that time, and we rushed back out to the stage when he came out to do a set. And then it was what happened with the College Boys. They were in the middle of their set, and Pac took over, and we had to go with it because he was the main performer of the event. And so our main goal was to protect Tupac, and Digital Underground, and peripherally the College Boys and the other people that were at the concert.
So he was the last artist that came out, Pop.
No, no, he came out first and did part of I Get Around, and then left and went to the dressing room. Then came out and did a whole set of I don't know how many songs, 4 or 5 songs. Then I believe College Boys came out and did a couple songs, and then there was some other people I don't even know the names of them that was at the Myriad Convention Center that did songs. He came out and did. I think he did. I think he did all around the world same song with Digital Underground after
Also,
his.
so you saying he came out first, then the other ones performed, then he came back out,
Yeah, he came back out, I believe. That's been a long time. I think he
and
came back out and did I Get Around, not I Get Around, but the same song, Digital Underground.
so when he came out the second time, that's when the crowd tried to rush him.
No, it was the first time. The chronology of it was is that he came out, did I Get Around, didn't like it. We went back to the dressing room. He came back out, took the mic away from the College Boys from Atlanta, and then started doing his set. He did his set like 4 or 5, and one of them was when the sucker got thrown, and the boys from we were told our information was Star Spencer High School that rushed the stage. And then after we got that under control and it was pretty chill, he did about another song, went off the stage. He came back later and did I believe it was the same song with Digital Underground, which I was really getting into because I used to have that album, the Sex Packets album with Digital Underground and the Humpty Hump, Money B.
Mm. That's how you know Tupac was thorough. The fact that they tried to rush him, because most artists would have left and wouldn't even came back. He came back and still did him. That's what tell you how real he was.
Oh, he had heart. I would not think that even if he thought there was a possibility of getting physically harmed, that he would have still did that because he had heart.
This was a good interview, man. The Tupac community, they gonna like this story. Um, this one of the stories we never heard and we never got, and I appreciate you for your story, man. God bless you. And once again, man, thank you for your time. And we're gonna be closing out, man.
Okay, well, it was real, and I think that we should share when we have real experiences. We should share and communicate, and that's what I'm trying to do is get it out because there's not a lot of us from that era that are still around that are and this is a perspective that hasn't been fully told. The girl you interviewed, Shani, told part of it, but she didn't have the inside picture, the information, the intelligence from having been on the stage. And we get information. People tell us things and stuff because they want to come to the next events and stuff if it's in a local town you're working. So people come out and tell us, and it was an experience I would not trade for. I would not trade that experience for. And I've had struggle myself due to getting injured working. I had blood clots in my from getting injured working. I I would not trade um, that for any type of experience. At least I think that's where my blood clots came in. I was doing some other physical activities at the time, which were also kind of dangerous back in um, 2018 or 19. I'm not really sure, but it, I had to have a major surgery myself as a result of an injury. So, yeah. I'd like to do a shout out to some of the cats from Oklahoma City from that 1993 era. One is Marcus Cloas. Marcus Cloas was, I mean, we went through some stuff together. He was at the East Side 36 and Kelly with me. He was at Visions in Dell City. He did not make it to the Tupac concert. We had limited people, and Mark got to choose. Mark Anthony. So I was one of the main guys because I'd already did DJ Quick, etc. But it was, and I like to say a shout out to Mark, Mark Anthony Guyton, because if it wasn't for Mark Anthony Guyton and offering me the opportunity to go, I would have never got to be on the stage with Tupac. And I would like to say a shout out to the Air Force guys that we did some special events for that were associated with Tinker Air Force Base in Midwest City, Oklahoma. The guys at the over at the ACI at 36th and Kelly, because they had the confidence and when we started having all the bands like Low Key and the rhythm and blues bands, the blues festival we had, and I was one of the ones that got chose to wear a yellow shirt, and that was an honor because there was only about out of 20 security and maybe 5 or 6 armed security. It was a really big nightclub. Um, I was one of the ones to get chosen and with a yellow shirt, and that was an honor. And it was right at the same time that I was wearing the yellow shirt on the east side that I got to go with Mark. And that's part of the reason because Mark was also associated with the yellow shirts, which were the the bodyguards for the bands. They called us the untouchable bodyguards.
Real Rap TV.